Hi, my name is cjrhen, and this is part 3 of Dorico for jazz arrangers. In the last two videos, we first covered setup, note input, and then we covered setting up our chord engraving and inputting some chords, and today we're going to get into rhythm section parts and rhythm section arranging. Quick note, while I was editing this video, I decided to split it up into two parts. First, focus on working with slashes and numbered bar regions, and the second part will work with drum notation and also working with multiple voice layers. I hope you enjoy. To get started, go ahead, open up Dorico and get to the start page, and we're going to go to create new, and we're going to go to choose a template. We're going to go to jazz, and we're going to click jazz quartet. Go ahead, give it any title you need, and put in your name. And we're not going to mess with any of the formatting, time signature, key signature, and click create project. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and just write the first 8 bars of It Could Happen to You, but with some nice rhythms on there that we'll be able to arrange out for the rhythm section. So go ahead and watch this time lapse, and feel free to pause the video and then try to recreate the score for some practice. So go ahead and pause here if you want to try to recreate this melody on your page and follow along with what I do for my rhythm section. So first thing I'm going to do that we're not necessarily going to keep is just show you how to insert rhythm slashes across a range of bars. So go ahead, select a range of bars. I'm going to do this in the right hand of my piano. I'm going to select all the way from the first bar to the 8th bar. And to do that, I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to click the other rest after I already selected the first rest, and notice it will make a range selection. Once that range is selected, come over here to the toolbar, and we're going to go to the first ending here, the repeat structures. We're going to click that, and you'll notice you have a whole bunch of options here, including rhythm slashes. Go ahead and click rhythm slashes and click create slash region. So a quick explanation of slash regions and generally how Dorico deals with things. So think about Finale and Sibelius. In my experience, is everything was almost a workaround. Basically, they gave you a toolbox and you could do whatever you wanted. You could hide layers, show layers, change note heads, do all these things to manipulate your score to look the way you want. But in Dorico, they provide ways to do jazz arranging and commercial music. They have notation tools built directly in there to get the results you want, but we just have to learn how to work with them because it's kind of not what we're used to thinking about coming from other notation softwares. Ultimately, I found that this difference has just sped up my workflow either 2 times or 3 times as fast as what I could have done in Finale or Sibelius. And that's because when I go to need these tools, they're simply just there. I don't have to play around as hard just to get my rhythm section looking the way I want. Since I have a lot of time-sensitive projects, I found that to be very valuable for me. So looking at the melody, there's a couple places I might want to have my rhythm section play a hit. For example, under this 8th note here. Now that means I want to put a slash here with a stem that lines up with that and clearly cues that rhythm hit for my rhythm section player. So I found the easiest way to do that is honestly just to get rid of the slash region overall, and let's go ahead and add a voice to this piano. So go ahead and select the bar we want to be adding this hit to, and we're going to click Shift N to input a note, but we're not going to be inserting just any note. We're also not going to insert a note and change the note head. We're actually going to insert a slash layer, or what it's actually called is a slash voice, as in Dorico we work with multiple voices. So come over here to the right side toolbar, and we're going to look for the icon that has one note with a stem going up and one note with a stem going down in a plus. This is where we can add and scroll through our voices. So go ahead and hold your mouse on that icon until the dialog opens up, and you'll notice there's an option to add a voice. There's an option to add a slash voice, which we will be working with. There's also an option to scroll through and select a different voice that's already added to your staff. Go ahead and pick this slash voice, and you'll notice our note input icon actually changed here. So go ahead and move over this note insert bar to where we want to input this note. Click the value we want to put in, which is an 8th note, which is 5. And I'm going to go ahead and just click any note. I'm going to just click B, and it automatically draws and formats the slash with a stem. So now let's go ahead and insert another one of these over here in this bar following the same melody hit. Let's click Shift N, and you'll notice our rhythm slash input is already queued up, and we can actually switch our voices to regular note hits by just clicking V. And if you click V again, it will go to our slash voice, since that's the only other voice we have active for this staff. Go ahead and find where we need to input this slash with a stem. Click 5 for 8th note and click B to input that slash with a stem automatically formatted. So overall, that's pretty simple, but now we want to put back our rhythm slashes for the other bars and for the empty space surrounding those hits. So all we have to do is select our ranges like we were doing before. Go ahead and click the first rest and go ahead and select the last rest, which is going to be this quarter rest. And we're going to come back over here to our panels, make sure our panels is selected, and make sure we open up the repeat structures side toolbar under rhythm slashes. Click create slash region and it will automatically draw our slashes. We will do this for the other portion of empty space from here all the way to this quarter rest. Go ahead and click create slash region again, and I'm going to create a slash region just for these last 2 beats here by once again selecting the rest and clicking create slash region. So now that we did these first 4 bars, I want to come down here to the second 4 bars and we're going to add 1 hit under this 8th note. So let's go down here, we're going to click Shift N. Notice we're already in that rhythm slash input mode, but if you're not, go ahead and click V until the icon changes to the slash with a stem. We're going to go ahead, move our note input bar over to where we want to input this hit, select the note value we want to input, which is an 8th note, click 5 for an 8th note and click any note. I'm going to click B to input that rhythm slash with a stem automatically formatted. Let's go ahead and fill out this approximate bar and a half with rhythm slashes. Go ahead and select our first rest and then go ahead and select our last rest, and then we're going to go back over to this right side toolbar. We're probably already in the panel for repeat structures, find rhythm slashes and select create slash region. We're going to do that one more time for these remaining 2 bars. Go ahead and select the first rest and then the last rest for the range. We're going to come back over to this panel and click create slash region one last time. So now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out and just look over what I have so far on my first page. So before I go ahead and input chords, I'm going to quickly set my music font and set the chord engraving options that we had worked with in parts 1 and 2 of this video series, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in time lapse. If you want to see how to set those, go ahead and reference parts 1 and 2. So now that we have our engraving options set, we're going to add the chords to these first 8 bars. So go ahead to the first bar, we're going to click the first beat, and we're going to click Shift Q to input a chord. This chord is an E flat major 7. So go ahead and type E flat major 7 and it will automatically autocorrect the spelling of that to include the triangle since we set that in the engraving options. Go ahead to the second bar and I'm going to do the 2-5 turnaround for this bar. So for the downbeat of bar 2, I'm going to do a G half diminished 7. And then for the second half of the bar, I'm actually going to put it on this hit. I'm going to put a C7 flat 9. We're going to go ahead to this next bar and we're going to pick our downbeat, and remember, input a chord is Shift Q, and we're going to insert an F minor 7. Moving over to the bar after this, go ahead and click the downbeat. This is going to have the same rhythm hit again. So on the downbeat, we're going to put an A half diminished 7. And remember, just type half dim and it automatically autocorrects to the symbol. Pick our rhythm hit, and now we're going to input our D7 flat 9. So now scroll down to the second half of the page. We're going to come down to bar 5. We're going to select the downbeat and we're going to put in the next chord. So click Shift Q and we're going to put an E flat major 7. Come to the next bar and we're going to input an A flat major 7. And now we're going to insert a chord on this hit. Go ahead and pick the hit. Click Shift Q to insert a chord, and we're going to type G half dim 7. Click enter. So now rhythmically, since we anticipated the 2, we also want to anticipate the 5 just because it sounds good. But notice we already have these slashes here and maybe we don't want to delete them. So I'm going to show you how to cut them and change their length so that we can input this rhythm slash with a stem as a hit. To do this, we're going to go ahead and select the downbeat of bar 8, and we're going to actually cut this into 2 regions at this point because we want to clear up this beat so we can put our slash with a stem on the and of 4. With our downbeat of bar 8 selected, come over to the left hand side toolbar and we're going to find the scissor down at the bottom, and we're going to click the scissor. You can also click the letter U, and notice it split our two regions, with the starting point of the second region created from the split originating at that downbeat we had selected. So now, using the key commands that we learned in part 1 in note input, go ahead and select this region, and notice this region is one whole entity, and we'll be able to move this and adjust its length using our key commands. So for this key command, we're going to click Shift Alt, we're going to click the arrow to the left twice to move it on the grid 2 spots, and now we have a free quarter note rest available to input our rhythm/hit with a stem. Go ahead from here and just click the downbeat of the bar we want to input this in, click Shift N, and now we just have to move our note insert bar with our arrow keys all the way over to where we want to input the slash. Notice our voice is not correct now, so we're going to have to click V to switch to our other voice, or you have to click V as many times until you see the slash voice that we need to input. Once you see the little icon there next to the note insert bar resembling a slash with a stem, select our note value, which is an 8th note, and you can also click 5 to do that, and then click any note. I'm going to click B, and it will insert our rhythm slash with a stem automatically formatted. Let's go ahead and insert the chord we need to put on that rhythm hit. Go ahead and pick that rhythm hit, click Shift Q, and we're going to type C7 flat 9 and click enter. So the next thing I like to do on lead sheets is I like to mark under bar 4 and under bar 8 with a bar number, because it helps the rhythm section keep track. It's mostly more important for longer scores like big band scores, not necessarily lead sheets, but I'm going to show you how to do it just so you have the flexibility while you're working. So first things first, if you come over to the panels on the right side and you come back under that repeat structures tab, you'll notice under rhythm slashes there's other options such as bar repeats, which can create single bar repeats, 2 bar repeats, and 4 bar repeats that we will talk about for drums, or you can do numbered bar regions. So let's go ahead and select this full 8 bar region on our piano. Select your first note, hold Shift and select the last note of these 8 bars, and we're going to click create numbered bar region. So you'll immediately notice that you just simply don't see anything showing up when you do that. So come up here to full score and click the drop down, and this is how you can access all your parts. We've been editing the piano track, so go ahead and select piano, and you'll notice there are now bar numbers just in weird places, and they also show ranges, and it's not necessarily the formatting we want to see. We also want to see it on our lead sheet score. So to fix all this, let's come back up to where it says piano, just how we selected the part, click the drop down, and let's go back to full score. And now we're going to open something we haven't opened yet. Just like engraving options, now we have layout options, and those are going to be page specific settings. So go ahead and click Control Shift L to open that window. You can also access it by clicking library and then going all the way down to layout options down here. Within layout options, you can see over here the different layouts, which includes our full score as well as our parts, and we have full score selected. So we're going to come over here to the search categories, and we're going to search for numbered bar regions. I just type number, and numbered bar regions show up here. This is what we were inserting to get those local 4 and 8 bars per 8 bar areas or 8 bar regions, and now we can show them in our full score by just checking this box, show bar count in numbered bar region, and click apply. Go ahead and click close and take a look at our score. You'll notice we're getting that kind of ugly formatting, so now we have to use our engraving options to set our global engraving look of these numbered bar regions so they'll reflect the same way in all our layouts, whether it's the score, the part, or wherever we choose to put them. To get to our engraving options, let's click Control Shift E. We can also access it by coming up to library and going all the way down to engraving options down here. Once we're in here, we're going to go to search categories and look for number and find numbered bar regions, just like we did in layout options. But now you'll see we have options to customize the numbered bar regions and not just set what whether they're showing in a specific layout. So in here, we're going to do every 4 bars because I don't want them showing up every single bar. We're also going to do the appearance of bar count with parentheses because that's my preference. You can choose without, and we will do the placement of the bar count relative to the staff below. Let's go ahead and click apply. You'll immediately notice if you move your window that we're starting to get them in the right place. Do you see that? So if you're looking, we still have this range at the beginning that we want to get rid of, and you'll notice these aren't in parentheses even though I told it to be in parentheses, but you'll see why in just a second. Let's go ahead and scroll down. I'm not going to mess with this setting, but we're going to look at the appearance of bar count for the first bar in the region. So the first bar in the region is here, and notice it says without parentheses, so it's referring to that number 1. We're going to click do not show and click apply, and notice that's all gone. Also, if you see the appearance of range with the total number of bars in the first bar, basically that's saying that range it was showing there, it's basically a child setting of this, and since we set to do not show, it immediately disables these options for us since it's not going to be showing anyway. Let's go ahead and continue to scroll down, and here's the appearance of the bar count for the last bar in the system. So this is interesting because we have to understand what a system is in Dorico. So let's go ahead and click with parentheses and see what happens to our score. Go ahead and click apply, and notice we now have parentheses around these. So basically a system is actually referring to the layout of a page. So if we come over to this engraving options here, you'll notice we have options to create system breaks and frame breaks. Now we aren't really going to mess with this because this is what next video is going to be about, but let me just show you an example. If I come down here where we already have a break in our system and I click create system break, we get this little purple tag, and what this does is it basically says where to create a break. So for example, let me put a really bad one. I'll do it after these 2 bars. I'll click this bar line and click create system break, and notice it automatically creates a system. This is a 2-bar system. This is a 2-bar system. And since we have it set to show number bar regions to show that actual number at the end of a system, it even added that into the display here. So let's go ahead and just undo that, get back to our 4 bars. We can leave this system break on the 4th bar because it was already like that anyway, and if I was engraving, I would be putting that there intentionally. Let's go ahead back to the right tab and let's reopen up our engraving options with Control-Shift-E, or by going to library and engraving options. We should still be in this numbered bar regions. If you're not, type in number search it, find the numbered bar regions, scroll down to where we were, which was at the appearance of the bar count for the last bar in the system. Let's go to appearance of bar count for the last bar in a region. So let's say for some reason your region is 8 bars and there's like a 9th bar of rest, and you don't want to put a bar number under there for this region. That means this number 8 wouldn't be at the end of a system in inheriting that parenthesis, and since we want everything to have parentheses, we'll just pick this and click apply, which will guarantee it will. To double check this, let's click that full score and get to our part, which is the piano part we're working on, and notice it applied all those engraving settings that we already had set, but we don't want this number 5 here, but that's because it's relating to our system that I just talked about. So I'll go ahead, just for demonstration purposes, select that bar line, go to engrave and create system break, and notice we get the exact results we wanted, and it also reflects what we saw in the score. Last thing we're going to do is come up here to our toolbars, and we're going to go to the right tab, and I just want to show you that you don't always need to be editing settings in the engraving or the layout options. You can also just do it locally per system item in the properties panel. So come over here, let's select the number 8 right here, which is part of our numbered bar regions, and click this up arrow to expand our bottom toolbox, and come over here, make sure our mouse is above these 3 dots with 3 lines. This is the properties panel, and let's click it if it's not already selected, and here you can see that we have properties that we can edit for our selected item. This changes based on your selection, such as if I select this chord, you'll see that we have options to change its position, such as below the staff, as well as other different engraving options that we can now set locally per chord instead of globally for all our layouts. You can access this property panels under any layout you have selected, including your score or any other part. So to wrap up this video, let's go ahead back up to where it says piano, and this is where we can switch between our layouts, and let's go ahead and select full score. In the next part, I decided to split up this video just because it's starting to get a little long, and I wanted to be able to do the drum notation as well as working with multiple voice layers in depth. Thank you for watching, and in the next part we'll continue working on this score, and it should be out in just the next couple days. Please leave a like and subscribe so I can continue making these videos, and I appreciate all the support I'm getting so far. Thank you.